I've got to post a lost sale, so now what do I do? Stick around, we'll talk about it. Hi everybody, welcome to the DCSI Parts Guys. We're presented by Dealership CSI. We're powered by ESPM. And today we're going to talk about the lost sale and how do you post. We look at the three major systems, CDK, Dealertrack, and Reynolds, and talk about how to post. We appreciate you joining us. I'm Rick. Here's Jerry. Good morning, Jerry. How you doing?
Good morning, Rick. I'm doing real good. We talked about our previous episodes, obviously, the total demand posting and making sure that you're recording lost sales. So now we're going to give you some information on how to go about that in your system.
Funny thing, when we're out talking to dealers about lost sales and how do we post and why do we post and why do we not post, one of the biggest stumbling blocks that we uncover is not everybody in the store knows how to post a lost sale. So part of our training is to sit everybody down, go through each type of document and show them exactly how to push the buttons and get the lost sale to register in the system. So we put together a little breakout here of the major systems to kind of show you a couple of those things. And we're going to start with the CDK. And Jer, why don't you talk us through this baby?
Well, CDK, obviously, and like you said, Rick, a lot of people aren't really sure how to go about posting a lost sale. And a lot of that differs in the fact that they use different screens. So we've got a couple examples here, and in the CDK quote screen, you can see that we're in a quote here. It's a counter ticket quote, and we've got our customer in there. And when you type in that part number, it's going to come right down to the bottom and ask you what the quantity is that you want to put on that quote. Well, in this case, we don't have anything on hand, so there's a lost sale. So we would type in our quantity of 1 followed by the word LOST. That will record the demand for a part that was requested that we don't have on hand. So that's your first example. And on the second one, we show you some of the overrides that are available for CDK. Now, obviously, you can override a lot of things when you're in that invoicing screen. But the most important one we want to talk about here, obviously, is that lost, where you type in the word LOST, or you can actually do LO. That will record it as a lost sale. So you put in the quantity, follow that up with a space, and then type the word lost or LO to record that lost sale. When we move into the repair order function, obviously, you're in function Pro. That's where we charge out parts on repair orders on a regular basis. And we can also do quotes in Pro. And what you see on the screen right now is a quote in the Pro function. So it's the same type of thing as it is in the invoicing screen. Again, it comes up, and because we don't have any on hand, it says, well, how many do you want to put on this quote? Well, we're going to tell it we're going to put 1 with an LO. Now that will record the lost sale. If you need to put the part on the quote, you would just type in the quantity 1 and hit enter. So you do have to go through the same part number twice in this case, 1 to put it on the quote and then 1 to record the lost sale. So it's just a couple keystrokes. It really isn't difficult. Anybody tells you that it's too much work to record lost sales, obviously they don't get it. They don't understand how to do it. So it helps to show them, make sure everybody knows how to record these lost sales. You can even do it in the parts display screen. So we've got an example of that for you, where we have that same part number coming up and we don't have anything. When you're in the parts display screen, it automatically prompts you to enter the lost sale, and it's just looking for a quantity there. All you would do is put in the quantity of the lost sale.
All right, well, that gets us through CDK, and like you say, Jared, there's some hoops you got to run through with some of these systems, but the bottom line is it's more important to get the lost sale posted than it is to sit by and complain and cry about how much work there is. Do I got to go back and retype the number and this and that and the other thing? So one of the things that we try and instill in our clients and in their stores is that we want this culture of lost sales capture, and that capture is really important, but we got to know how to do it. So let's take a look at the Dealertrack system. And in the Dealertrack system, that's got some limitations the same way. The quote screen is what we have to use in Dealertrack. So a lot of guys just leave a quote screen up, and when they're looking to inquire on parts, they pop it in there. When they're ready to post the lost sale, they go to this function area right down here. They click it, and 27 is our function that's going to post the lost sale. So it's one of those things you've got to kind of work out a little process in your store. I know some guys that actually do screen copies of parts they're putting on ROs and make sure they're getting the lost sales posted that way. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. And in fact, there is a setting in Dealertrack whereby you can set a counterperson's specifications to automatically record lost sale on any part that has 0 on hand. So we're going to explore that down the road a little bit, and we'll show you how some of that stuff works. But for now, this is the way most guys do it, and we get some pretty good results from that. But it's just a matter of working out a program in your store that works for you and monitor that everybody does it the same way. So Jared, tell us about Reynolds and Reynolds.
Well, in Reynolds and Reynolds, the key here is really entering LS to record that lost sale transaction. It allows you to record a lost sale for any of the part numbers, whether you're in a list or whether you're in the 2021 screen. Any of those screens, you want to just type in LS. When you do that, we'll come up with the posting prompt. So we type in the LS on the bottom, and then that will bring it up, and it'll ask you how many actually you're losing in that lost sale. You can see on our example here in the 2021 screen, right on the bottom, it says LS equal lost. So that's what we do is we type in LS. When we do that, type in the LS, it moves to the next screen, and the next screen comes up and says, what's the quantity that you had a lost sale on? So we just enter the quantity there, and then that'll record the demand in the system for Reynolds and Reynolds. It's pretty simple. You can do it in almost all of their screens in 2025, 2021. Most of those screens are available, and you just have to make sure that you're recording those demands in the system there.
Yeah, and that's the key. Like I said, it's got to become part of the culture of what we do. And so once we start to get into the lost sale culture, and we realize that we're looking at requests for broken parts, and we're not worried about whether we would have sold it or not. We're not worried about, well, we'll never stock that part, so we're not going to post it. There has to be the hard and fast rule. I either sell it, I write a special order immediately, or I post a lost sale. And that's all there is to it. These lost sales will build up, and it's solid gold as far as information goes in the parts department for future decisions on parts that I need to stock, so I can go back to that magic word, which is yes, to my technicians. So Jer, how do we track and determine whether a parts department is really posting enough lost sales? What's the formula for lost sales that a parts department should be performing to?
That's pretty simple, Rick. We've got a guide and a formula that we use, and it really depends on how many people you have available in your parts department that are interacting with technicians, interacting with customers. So in other words, how many people are really available to post lost sales? So the hard and fast rule that we look at is there should be roughly 4 to 6 part numbers per employee per day recorded as a lost sale. You're never going to have everything on the shelf. Lost sales are occurring every day. We want to make sure that they get recorded, and you want to measure that. You want to be able to see if they're recording enough lost sales, because some people get lazy. And it's really part of a counterman's job. His main responsibility is to make sure we're getting the information in the computer that you can use.
And that's a big issue. If the information doesn't come to the parts manager cannot make the decision to buy the part or not. and it's basically the counterperson's withholding information by not posting the lost sale, by getting lazy. So it's important to track how we're doing as a department, and are we keeping up with that 4 to 6 per person per day. That means that every person posting lost sales, I've got 20 work days, I should be somewhere in about the 120 range per person, 100 per person on a regular basis per month. So we need to start tracking that, and in our next episode of the saga of the lost sale here, we're going to talk about how do you track it, how do you manage it, and how do you get this culture firmly entrenched into your parts department so that that information is flowing back and we're able to use it for that very important step of phasing parts in and making sure that that we're getting all the information we can and getting as many parts in. Jared, have you ever seen a store that has posted enough lost sales that they don't need to post them anymore?
No, I don't think that'll ever happen, Rick. There's just no way. We're never going to have everything. Like I said, there's so many part numbers out there, and the models are changing more rapidly than ever. We're getting new parts. We're getting CAFE requirements are taking a big factor, and people are lightening up their vehicles. So the change in vehicles and just the composition of the vehicles is bringing more and more part numbers into our universe, and we have to be able to measure those parts and see which ones we're going to need to have on the shelf.
And that's what's driving this whole thing, is the world's changing so fast with all the new models and all the new powertrains and all the variations, and it's all parts. The only difference between last year's model and this year's model is parts. So as a parts department, as a parts manager, I need to focus on that, and I need to stay ahead of that curve. So we appreciate you joining us today. We hope you got something out of this, how to post. And in our next episode, we're going to talk about managing the lost sale in your department and making sure that we're getting everything out that we need to get. Jared, I want to thank you for joining us.
Rick, my pleasure as always, and look forward to some more information regarding this topic, and we'll be covering that soon.
So check us out on the Parts Guys channel, DCSI Parts Guys, and if you like it, subscribe, give us some likes, share it around, and whatever you do, let's go make some money.